Hey guys, welcome to a new vlog. Okay, as you guys know, my vlog is all about exploring UAE, the outdoors of UAE, things to do with kids, places that you can go and visit, a lot of things, parks, events that happen around UAE. My vlog is all about that, but today the situation is completely different. There is a pandemic that's going on around the world, and because of that the government of UAE has taken measures for us to be safe, to be at our homes. They closed down almost every public places for our safety, and a lot of people actually really don't understand this as a fact. So in this vlog I'm going to try to explain to you how this pandemic came about, how dangerous it is, how does it affect you, and what's the best way to keep out of it. This is going to be a different vlog. I hope this helps. So let's dive into it.
I kinda like you.
As we know that this is not the first strain of coronavirus that happened. We have seen a different type of coronavirus before, back in 2002, which was called SARS. It spread over 29 countries and killed almost 800 people around the world. This was contained, but the cause of this virus was exactly the same as the cause of this coronavirus, the COVID-19, that has become into a pandemic. The virus has come up from wild animals in wet markets. Now, what are these wet markets? Wet markets are places where you trade wild animals for food. The belief of this trade is starts from one, they give you a higher immunity used for medical purposes, or help you grow more muscles, or make you stronger in some way for bodybuilding, whatever the reason it may have, or even just for pure eating pleasure. Whatever the reason it may have, all of these things are all false. They do not provide you with anything but the mass slaughter of wild animals around Asia and probably around the world. So these wet markets, they basically trade in wild animals. Now, the history of wet markets is quite interesting. A lot of people don't know that why are these wild animals consumed or eaten or used for any of these purposes. Back in the 1970s, China was facing a famine, a crisis with food. So the trade of poultry farms and everything was mostly with high budget farmers, and this was not enough. It's not sufficient to basically provide for the 800 to 900 million people in China. So the government basically passed a law where they could hunt and eat wildlife. This sprung into a small business of wildlife breeding. But then after that, when back in I think 1989, China actually declared this as a human resource, the wildlife. Human resource means that it can be used for human benefit. So there began the mass farming of these wildlife animals, and thus the trade of these wild creatures from around the world to these wet markets. Now, why is it so dangerous? The conditions that these animals are kept is very poor. These wet markets have different animals from around the world, more than 20 species of different wild animals from around the world. And these wet markets, they basically cut them, keep them, store them, butcher them, whatever they do it in this market. They are stacked upon one top of each other, and so basically the secretion or the virus is easily transferable from one animal to another and easily consumed by humans from these markets. In this case of COVID-19, the DNA present in this virus is from a bat and from a pangolin. Now, how did this happen? Basically, it could be that they were kept close to each other, or the bat had the virus and it transferred to the pangolin, and obviously either of them were, kept with each other, any of those sorts, and then at the end was consumed by a human. Now these markets have been closed for now. Hopefully they will be closed forever, because this practice is no more required. Now the rich and the powerful, they still have these markets controlled, and this is only serving those few population. And hopefully this COVID-19 should be an eye-opener throughout Asia, to stop trading of wild animals, and thus facing any other kind of virus in the future. From the wild animals, it's transferred to the humans. It was transferred to the humans, and then the humans started spreading it between humans. So what happened now is, as you know, the city of China was completely closed because it's spread like wildfire. And today, traveling being so easy, traveling around countries so easy, that this disease just spread from China all over the world. And today we see this a big pandemic, because this disease, the biggest problem in this disease is it's very at its early stage, it is undetectable. So that means that you could be carrying this disease for 2 or 3 days, and every person you meet, you basically affect them. And this is how this disease spreads so quickly and so fast. Now, this disease is specifically dangerous for people with low immunity. For example, children, older, elderly people, like about 55, 60 people. Now, these people have lower immune system, and this can be really dangerous for this disease, because it affects your lungs, your respiratory organ, which is the primary cell that gets affected with this COVID-19. So with this virus, the symptoms are very simple. You start getting fever, but not for the first 2-3 days. After a few days, you start getting fever, you start getting breathing problems, your lungs, you start coughing, and basically it is very slow and very gradual. So you might not even know, you might treat it as a common flu or pneumonia or something on those lines. Coughing, sneezing, and all these things which started off like a common cold, but this eventually affects your lungs. And if it affects your lungs, basically in many cases, it starts with your lungs and it ends in your lungs. But if it reaches at a level which is a critical level, where your lungs start getting affected, you stop breathing, basically complete collapse of your respiratory system. But in most cases, it can be resolved. The only problem is that we don't have any vaccine for it. The second thing is, you have to be isolated to be treated. That means in case you do get infected, you won't be able to see your family, you won't be able to see anyone, and you should keep distance with other people. Now, this has become a big problem, especially we have seen an example of Italy, where the whole medical system has collapsed. Because you don't have intensive care units that many in the hospital. Maybe in a hospital of 100 beds, you might have 10% of that for ICU. But in this case, everyone has to be treated in ICU. So when you have thousands and thousands of people flooding in the hospitals, you don't have enough unit. And so in the case of Italy, they have to be selective in choosing who they want to save. Therefore, the death toll went really high very fast. Today, even US, Italy, and some of the countries have even crossed the figures of China, and where China has effectively warned off this disease, or maybe are coming back already from this disease, from this pandemic, by few simple rules. There have been more cases of people recovering from it than people dying. Nevertheless, this should not be treated lightly or as a joke, because people who have done that, it is becoming a disaster for them. So there are a couple of steps that China has taught us from it, and we should take them. First of all, washing hands. This is one of the most important. Treat everything around you as if it's got the virus. So you're touching door handles, you're touching your car, you're driving, steering wheel, you're entering your house, exiting your house, in your house, or even getting deliveries, touching any kind of surfaces. Treat as if it's got the virus. So what you do is you keep on washing your hands before you touch anything else. Keep washing your hands. This is the first and the most important step that you should take. The second most important step is, if you see anyone with mildly a flu symptom, or even if it's coughing or sneezing, ask them to wear a mask. If it's in your home, if it's in your office, ask them to stay at home. Don't let them come close to you. Keep some distance between you and them. This is just breaking the chain. That means that if, for example, if he has a common flu or a cold or whatever it is, it stays with him. In case he has the virus, this is where it gets dangerous, because there is a high probability that this virus could spread to you. So better be careful than sorry. There is one most important step which the government also helped us. Government of UAE is pushing people to do, is staying at home. If you can work from home, work from home. If you can not go out, please don't go out for any reason unless it's important. You have deliveries coming to your house, you have supermarket, groceries, everyone has them around the house. Call them, let them come to you to deliver stuff. You have restaurants who are delivering food, so food is also being delivered to your house. You have pharmacies, most of the pharmacies also started their delivery service. You can do that. We have a period of sanitization which is going on for at least till the 7th of April, hopefully. And this is basically a major step taken by the government of cleaning up and sterilizing most of the streets and places, public places around UAE. So the timings for them are also from 8 o'clock in the evening, at night, from 8 o'clock to 6 in the morning. Please don't leave the house, because they are making the best use of empty roads, empty places to sterilize. And even if you do, there is a government website that you can apply for, which allows you, on permission of course, if they approve it, then you can go out for a certain period of time, which you have to mention in the application, and the reasons you have to state why you want to go. People in a medical background, or security, or police, or cleaners, or these people who usually are the ones who are involved in this kind of process, they are exempted from it. Other than that, please don't go out. Even in the daytime, please make sure that you don't go out for any reason. I think on Thursday, when people are taking off from the offices, I actually saw there were more people running around and jogging, cycling, taking a walk. Please, just don't be stupid. The reason why people are saying to stay at home is so that you are not exposed to this virus. Distance yourself, isolate yourself. Come on, this is the first time we are actually given a chance to stay at home, watch TV, do whatever, do nothing, and save the world. A lot of videos on YouTube that you can watch. There's Netflix, have a movie marathon, do whatever you need to do. There is enough food, there is enough medical care, there is enough of everything in this country. The only thing which you need is to stay at home and be safe. And if you really are getting bored, you can probably watch some of my videos, and do whatever you do. Don't forget to watch Local Not Local. Ciao, stay safe. Thank you.